Dodge is a name synonymous with American muscle cars, with iconic vehicles like the Challenger and Charger gracing driveways and movie screens for decades. But Dodge's history extends beyond roaring engines and drag strips. Get ready to be astonished by the formidable beasts who briefly ruled the world of pickups. 13. Dodge Ram SRT-10 Night Runner. Dodge chose to create the Dodge Ram SRT-10 Night Runner, an even more exclusive variant of the already rare Dodge Ram SRT truck. The color pattern was the most noticeable distinction between the Night Runner and regular SRT. Nearly all surfaces aboard the Night Runner were coated in black paint. The PVO, Performance Vehicle Operations division of Daimler Chrysler, used engineers from the Dodge Viper and Plymouth Prowler to design the Dodge Ram SRT. The Ram SRT-10's exterior was designed through extensive wind tunnel testing. Dodge has fitted a Viper engine into a Ram truck for the second time. A concept Dodge Ram with a Viper Generation 2 engine was unveiled by Dodge at the 1996 Chicago Auto Show. However, it was never put into production. The Dodge Ram VTS had a 6-speed manual gearbox, 17-inch, 432mm, Viper GTS rims wrapped in BF Goodrich, two 75/60 HR17 Comp TA HR4 tires, and an 8.0-liter 488 CID V10 engine. It was painted bonsai blue with dual white skunk stripes. 12. Dodge Power Wagon. Even though Dodge has produced trucks with 4 wheels since the 1930s, things didn't get particularly interesting until after World War II. Not only is the 1945 Power Wagon the most recognizable Dodge vehicle ever, but it's also maybe the most important pickup truck ever produced. It was the first medium-duty pickup with factory 4-wheel drive, based on the Dodge 3/4-ton WC series of World War II military vehicles. Dodge was on it more than 10 years earlier, in 1945, but Chevy didn't provide a factory 4x4 until 1957, and Ford was last to the party, selling them in 1959. Because of their size and weight, they were not precisely rocket ships, but they had enough power for the day's voyage. Before contemporary overhead valve V8 engines became available in the early 1960s, the majority had flathead inline gas 6-cylinder engines. The only available gearboxes were 4-speed manuals with dual-range 4-wheel drive transfer cases. With the exception of paint colors, most of the early models are very similar to military and Forest Service variants and can be used interchangeably. Hydraulic winches were often positioned in front of them. An uncommon option was a frame coupling that enabled the front and rear to swivel together for more aggressive off-road maneuvers. 11. Dodge Lil Red Express. Although the American muscle car had become dead by the late 1970s, Dodge made an effort to revive it with its adult toys range of trucks and vans. The Warlock pickup, the Macho Power Wagon, the Street Van, and the Ram Charger were all present. The Warlock was transformed by Dodge in 1978 to become the legendary Lil Red Express, which is still regarded as one of the best pickups ever produced. These trucks were offered in 1978 and 1979, and they included an automated gearbox and a modified 360-degree police interceptor. They were legendary because, at a time of boring, uninteresting cars, they were entertaining and different. Modern emissions equipment was not installed on the trucks, since it was not necessary. This implied that the customer received a fully capable engine, which at the time was only available for off-road or government usage. They also included gorgeous imitation wood trim and chrome exhaust stacks, features often associated with tractor trailers. There were about 3,200 of those trucks produced in those years, and they are very rare. It's amazing to note that not every Lil Red Express model was red. Some had a different body color but still had the lettering and embellishments. 10. Dodge Swept-Side Pickup. Introduced in 1954, the Dodge C-Series pickups had their first significant facelift since World War II and are considered some of the company's most stylish vehicles ever. It was also the first time Dodge had tried to create a luxury performance pickup truck. Not only did these C-Series trucks have a sleek appearance, but they also had first-generation Hemi engines, PowerFlight automatic gearboxes, and standard power brakes and steering. These trucks were designed to transport your goods in flair, complete with fins and rocket pod tail lamps. They had a contemporary overhead valve V8 engine that was almost twice as powerful as the power wagons of the past, and they were built in the opposite way. These trucks, which were available as a two-wheel drive pickup from 1957 to 1959, exude the period-perfect late 1950s flair. 9. Dodge Sweepline Pickups. The forward-position styling of these trucks replaced the finned styling of the preceding generation, beginning in 1959 and lasting until 1971. These vehicles had many choices and were available in 2- and 4-door variants with varying weight capacities. They came in 2- and 4-wheel drive vehicles, and almost all of the versions had smooth sides rather than flared sides. Given that they were offered in 2- and 4-wheel drive versions and had an assortment of overhead valve engines, from slant 6 to 383 V8s, some of them might have been dubbed power wagons. Low gas mileage and fast driving were the norm. These were inexpensive, entertaining, and still had a lot of life left in them when you purchased them from the Forest Service in the 1980s and early 1990s. All you had to do was bring a fuel can. 8. Dodge 4-Point. Dodge started taking trucks seriously in 1936 and changed the locations of its driveline, suspension, and steering parts to free up more space and improve the ride stability at high speeds. This did not change much until World War II. The well-known D-Series designation also started at that time. During this time, truck frames started to focus more on design than on being adapted to automobile frames. The Dodge 4-Point was a series of trucks produced by Dodge from 1936 to 1938. It marked a significant change from previous models, introducing a 4-point design. Dodge set out to create job-specific versions that were offered as job-rated, since tiny numbers of 4-wheel drive models had been introduced 2 years earlier. 1937 saw the introduction of the 3/4 and 1-ton light truck models, as well as the first diesel engine option for commercial-sized trucks. The usual for trannies were 3 speeds, and synchromesh costs extra. While not as well known as some other Dodge vehicles, the 4-Point series played a crucial role in the company's transition from car-based trucks to dedicated work trucks, paving the way for later successful models like the Dodge Power Wagon. 7. Dodge Dakota Sport Convertible. When Dodge debuted the Dakota pickup in 1987, it launched a completely new car market. The Dakota entered a single segment, the mid-size truck market, and was bigger than the trucks imported from Japan but smaller than conventional American full-size trucks. The Dakota offered available V8 power and was the ideal Goldilocks alternative to hefty American trucks and confined imports. Although sales did not start off well, the truck finally gained enough traction in the public eye to be considered a success. Dodge stirred things up with the 1989 Dakota Sport model, which defied expectations after breaking molds and producing something entirely fresh upon its release. It was the only truck ever offered in a convertible back then, and possibly still is. Dodge teamed up with American Sunroof Corporation, which created legendary limited edition vehicles like the ASC McLaren Mustang and the Buick Grand National GNX, to disassemble Dakota single-cab pickups and do what they did best, add a soft top. A roll bar that protruded from the front of the bed allowed the top to be thrown back, giving a pickup truck the feel of an actual open-top vehicle. Standard features included a 3.9-liter V6 engine, unique rocker panel stripes, and Dakota Sport lettering on the doors. On its face, the notion appeared appealing and cool. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and after just 3 years, the option was withdrawn. 6. Dodge Rampage. The first hatchback from an American automaker with a European aesthetic was the 1978 Dodge Omni and Plymouth Horizon twins, which went on to win honors when they were first introduced. They turned out to be an effective component of the Chrysler comeback of that time, which paved the way for the creation of a wider variety of automobiles, including trucks. In particular, vehicles built with the Omni Horizon. Chrysler debuted the Plymouth Scamp and Dodge Rampage, 2 new light trucks in 1982. These shared the same front wheel-only, transversely mounted 4-cylinder engines as the Omni Horizon, and were identical from the cab forward. The creation of these vehicles was made incredibly simple by using a front-wheel drive vehicle, since engineers and designers only needed to modify a little portion of the sheet metal to transform a hatchback into a truck. They would not have much payload, but they were ideal for small-scale tasks around town or for homeowners to pick up timber for such jobs. With a 2.2-liter engine producing only 84 horsepower, speed was not too important, especially with the available 3-speed automatic gearbox. Only 3 years were spent with these trucks. Rampage production in 1983 hardly exceeded 8,000 pieces, and sales were dismal. Since Carroll Shelby gave some of them skunkworks treatment that was exclusive to sales in California, the California Shelby Rampage is the most uncommon and sought after of them. It's hard to find any of these vehicles these days, and it's very impossible to get Shelby models. Luckily, when non-Shelby models do come up for sale, they're still excellent values. 5. 1970 D100 The Dude. In 1970 and 1971, Dodge introduced a sports trim package called the Dude for its D100 pickups. It was more of a cool style trim than a performance package. The Dudes had a decal of a cowboy hat and the word Dude imprinted in large C stripes on the sides. Since they only managed to sell 1,500 of them in 2 model years, it's truly one of those things that would take years to appreciate. Perhaps there would have been greater demand if the Big Lebowski was already out there. It was certainly capable of being a performance truck, even though it wasn't one. The Dude could have ordered one with a 426 Hemi or a 446 pack, since he had access to all of Dodge's largest V8s. It is impossible not to hope that at least one of these pickups has that kind of power plant, since it strikes the perfect balance between the macho dude vibe and the ferocious fury of a 425 horsepower Hemi. 30 years after the final D100-based Dude truck was produced, Dodge considered bringing the Dude back, although this time it was built on the Durango platform. The plan was to convert the Durango SUV into a pickup truck by removing its rear end and turning it into a hot rod street vehicle. It was 2004. The Skunk Works, a group of devoted car fans and crackerjacks from the Chrysler Group, were tasked by Dodge with bringing the Dude back to life. 4. 1965 D100 Custom Sport Special. In 1961, Dodge introduced the D-Series, a truck lineup that would continue until 1993. As a follow-up to the C-Series. The introduction of a 4-door crew cab model by Dodge in 1963 marked one of the D-Series' first significant advancements, as it was the first pickup from any of the big 3 to have 2 rows of seating. By accident, they also created the muscle car, which was a pickup. The GTO from Pontiac is credited for igniting the muscle car craze in 1964. But Dodge also released the D100 Custom Sport Special in the same year. It was a performance vehicle, complete with racing stripes, bucket seats, and a massive 426 Hemi engine under the hood. Although this package increased the base price by $1,200, it wasn't inexpensive, but it did make for a very quick truck. 3. Dodge Ram 1500 GTX Hemi. When Dodge began referring to their pickups as Rams in 1981, they were still a member of the D-Series vehicles, which had been around for a long time. The D-Series was eventually discontinued in 1989 to make room for the incredibly beautiful Ram. The fully revamped full-size pickup was inspired by vintage 1950s trucks and even large rigs in terms of style. The Dodge Ram 1500 with the Hemi GTX package is without a doubt one of the most iconic muscle pickups ever made. Between 2004 and 2005, LA west of Indiana ordered from dealers slightly more than 866 examples of these special edition sport vehicles to be customized. Paint options featured in the package included Hemi Orange, Sublime Green, Plum Crazy Purple, and Banana Yellow. And it was available with both normal and quad cab short box trucks in 2WD or 4WD form. The exclusive Ram 1500 GTX Hemi has a 5.7-liter Hemi V8 engine that produces 345 horsepower. It also has 20-inch American Racing Motochrome wheels, hockey stick stripes along the side, and a blacked-out cowl hood. They came in every Mopar high-impact color from the early 1970s, such as Banana Yellow, Plum Crazy Purple, Hemi Orange, and Sublime Green. They also had a blacked-out cowl hood, a 20-inch American Racing Motochrome wheel, a side hockey stick stripe, and a specially finished two-tone leather interior. The 5.7-liter Magnum V8 engine was, you guessed it, the engine. 2. Dodge Midnight Express. Dodge created and produced a distinctive range of specialty pickup trucks in the late 1970s. collectors from all around the United States still have a strong desire for these limited edition cars. Gearheads who desired specialty trucks for personal use were the target market for Dodge's Adult Toys from Dodge line of DW-based lifestyle pickup trucks, which was launched in the 1970s. With its black paint job Midnight Express truck decal applied to the door, gold pinstripes and twin exhaust stacks, the dealer-converted Midnight Express is quite the sight. The Midnight Express truck is equipped with a 440 engine version that can produce 245 horsepower, in contrast to the powerful 360 engines of the Lil Red Express. It's interesting to note that only 200 of the rare and collectible Dodge Midnight Express trucks from the 1978 model year are known to exist. Built for Dodge's Adult Toys range, the Dodge Midnight Express is still a beloved vintage pickup truck. 1. Dodge Rod Hall Signature Edition. In 1990, there was another limited run of the Dodge Rod Hall Signature Edition following the NHTSA's disappointing 1987 production halt. Baja Racing had its share of excitement during the 1980s and 1990s. Professional off-road racer Rod Hall and Carroll Shelby worked together to construct a series of 4x4 pickup trucks with classic Baja Racing paint jobs that were inspired by the sport. With the use of a unique high-performance suspension system, the vehicles would be able to handle even the most difficult off-road situations while still offering a respectable highway ride. Specialized high-performance components including Rancho shocks and springs, power steering, power brakes, and a light bar are included in the Rod Hall Signature Edition package. With a 5.2-liter V8 engine and an A727 Torque Flight 3-speed automated gearbox, the 33 Dodge Rod Hall Signature Edition models generate a pitiful 170 horsepower. The Signature Edition suspension was never put to the test on the road, which is why the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, had to recall the first batch from 1987. As a result, the NHTSA declared that it was hazardous to sell and operate the limited edition pickup on public roads. It goes without saying that this killed production, with only 14 units reaching the market.